Welcome to This Explainer. Let's jump right in, because today we are unpacking a truly fascinating case study from an Ethiopian student group known as Habesha E-Power. Now, what's absolutely incredible about their research, which is aptly titled The Secret of Successful Teams, is how flawlessly it merges ancient poetic wisdom with really modern technological frameworks. We're going to explore exactly how they struck this perfect balance and why the cognitive science of learning actually backs up their brilliant outside-the-box approach.
Okay, let's dive into this. If you look at page 11 of their study, instead of hitting you with a dry, typical academic opening, the Habesha E-Power team kicks things off with a powerful Amharic poem centered around growth and unity. When translated, the core message reads, "Even if it's dark, dawn is inevitable. The moon leaves and the sun rises. Success is an inevitable matter." It's such a deeply emotional hook, right? It really speaks to this fundamental idea that when a team stands together in unity, with patience, and just puts in the hard work, success is as guaranteed as the sun rising after a long night.
They actually expand on this concept through a deeply traditional cultural metaphor. The poem describes the secret of growth as this entirely organic process. Held with patience, it blossoms with love, and eventually it yields fruit. And here's the crucial part. That fruit isn't just meant for oneself. It's meant to be eaten and shared with the entire community. It's just a beautifully resonant way to describe the real-world rewards of hard work and collaboration. But, it does raise a pretty critical question. Why use a poem to explain teamwork in a formal academic study?
To answer that, we actually have to shift gears for a second and look at the science of human learning. Just think about your own experiences for a minute. You have a choice. You can either read a super dry, bulleted list of facts, or you can engage with narrative content like storytelling or poetry. Researchers have debated for years about which method actually works better for teaching complex skills, especially to really diverse populations. Well, the Ethiopian students intuitively chose the narrative path, and there's a fascinating study from Microsoft Research that proves exactly why they were right to do so. And this brilliantly illustrates the reasoning behind that choice. When Microsoft Research measured normalized learning scores across a bunch of different teaching methods, one specific approach completely stood out from the rest. It's what researchers call a high-motivation narrative. Basically, when you embed instructional lessons within a compelling story that shows real-life benefits, learning retention and overall success just go through the roof. It completely outperformed standard, fact-based instructional content.
So what's the secret sauce driving those high scores? It's something called narrative tension. By definition, this is a story event or a hook that grabs the audience's attention right out of the gate, and it can only be resolved when a character learns a new skill or, in our case, when a team finds unity. The Habesha E-Power poem masters this perfectly. It introduces tension immediately by acknowledging the darkness and the daily struggles, but then it resolves it with the dawn of shared effort and patience. The students didn't just list out the rules of teamwork, they actually made you feel the stakes. Now, we've talked a lot about ancient poetry and traditional metaphors. So how did modern technology help build this deeply traditional narrative? Well, if we flip to page 12 of the student study, there's a really surprising twist. Right after a section where they express deep gratitude to their teachers for sharing knowledge and guiding them, there's an explicit, highly detailed section dedicated to thanking the technological revolution.
So the crucial point is how they frame this. The students openly declare that while the historical truths, the stories, and the life experiences in their study come directly from their cultural roots, the actual synthesis, organizing all those thoughts and drafting the text, was made possible by using modern technology. They seamlessly combined the very soul of traditional storytelling with the structural, organizational power of modern tools. It's honestly a brilliant synergy. What's truly remarkable here is how this level of transparency is exactly what top global institutions are demanding right now. If you look at academic guidelines from places like IE University, they heavily emphasize honesty, transparency, and the explicit disclosure of AI tools. The Ethiopian students just instinctively adopted these global best practices. They didn't try to hide the fact that technology helped them organize their work. They celebrated it, openly and honestly.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a very clear, practical three-step process for anyone looking to do this right. Step 1. Explain exactly how the tools were used. For instance, were they for brainstorming or just organizing? Step 2. Document your prompts. And Step 3. Clearly indicate any generated content. The Habesha E-Power team naturally embodied the spirit of these steps. They drew a very clear line between what belonged to human experience, the rich cultural truths, and what belonged to the machine, which was the structuring and the organizing.
And this brings us full circle, right back to the poem's core message. In their technological acknowledgement on page 12, the students state, "This effort will be an all-inclusive and living example not only for us, but for our families and our community." They aren't just using technology to blindly churn out a project. Just like that tree in their opening poem that blossoms and bears fruit for the community to share, they are utilizing the technological revolution to organize their cultural wisdom and ultimately uplift their society.
Which leaves us with a pretty profound final thought. The Habesha ePower team showed us that true innovation doesn't mean abandoning your roots, it actually means giving those roots powerful new ways to grow. So I want to leave you with this question to ponder. How will you combine the wisdom of the past with the technology of tomorrow to uplift your own community? Thanks for exploring this incredibly inspiring case study with me today. See you next time.